Welcome back to another edition of the Saturday to Sunday Football Podcast. I am Paul Perdichizzi, and thank you for joining me. As always, it is my favorite time of the year. Preseason football is on in the background, but here at Saturday to Sunday, we have now turned the page to our summer scouting series. Over the next 4 episodes, there might be a break in there with a special guest from the industry, but over the next 2-3 weeks, I will be sharing my initial 2026 NFL draft rankings and scouting reports. These are just my initial thoughts on the quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends. I'm kicking it off with the running backs tonight. I've been watching film. I'm going to share my thoughts on 16 running backs in detail, my initial rankings, my initial scouting reports with a detailed watch list as well, giving you another 15 to 20 names you should have on your radar as we are closing in on the start of the 2026 college football season. So let's get right into discussion, talking about this class. To me, it is a very interesting running back class. It does not look like the last class that we had last year. Last year's running back class was a very special class. This class, very different in terms of the high-end talent that we're talking about. I think there's one first-round caliber prospect. I think there is maybe one additional top 75 prospect right now. And then I think the rest of them are round 3, round 4, or clearly day 3 prospects right now as we kick off our summer scouting. I'm going to start with my overall rankings, and then I'm just going to go through my scouting reports alphabetical. It's just easy for people if they want to jump around and find my thoughts on a specific player. It's just easy to kind of go alphabetical. So I'm going to share my initial rankings, and then we're going to go through the detailed scouting reports one by one, alphabetical, so you can kind of easily find my thoughts on a specific prospect. I will put the timestamps in there as well, but I just thought this was a good way to go through the initial scouting reports and then also share my rankings. Let's first start with the rankings. I already talked about it. It is not last year's class. It is not even close to that. So right now, obviously, a lot will change between now and next draft cycle and next draft season and next 2026 NFL draft. But it's always good to kind of be able to go back and kind of look through this and see how much did change. So my number one running back right now for the 2026 NFL draft, no surprise, is Jeremiah Love out of Notre Dame. My number 2 running back is Nick Singleton out of Penn State. A lot of people thought he was going to come out this year. He went back to school. Number 3 is Demond Claiborne out of Wake Forest. Number 4, a little bit of a blast from the past, probably going to be higher on my ranks than most other people's. It is Jaden Ott, who now has transferred from California to Oklahoma. My number 5 running back is CJ Baxter out of Texas. Missed all of last year due to injury, so definitely a little bit of a projection there, but I'm a big fan of the talent. Number 6 is Mekhi Hughes, now out of Oregon. Number 7 is Bryson Washington out of Baylor. Number 8 is Le'Veon Moss out of Texas A&M. Number 9 is Jam Miller out of Alabama. Number 10 is Quintravion Wisner out of Texas. Number 11 is Justice Haynes out of Michigan. Number 12 is Darius Taylor out of Minnesota. Number 13 is Quinton Joyner out of Texas Tech. Number 14 is Jonah Coleman out of Washington. Number 15 is Katron Allen out of Penn State. And number 16 is Rachel Fison out of South Carolina. Those are my 16 running backs right now in the order in which I have them ranked. As I said before, Jeremiah Love sits atop, the only clear round 1 type talent. Nicholas Singleton is my talent who I think is a late round 2, early round 3 in that top 75 mix. Then I have a couple guys on that round 3, early round 4 border. Some early day 3 guys and some day 3 guys there. It will be interesting to see if anybody from this can kind of push their way to, I'm not even going to say first round type caliber, but can we see anybody push their way to that early second round, right? We've seen a lot of running backs over the years go in that early portion of round 2. We had Breece Hall and we had Kenneth Walker not that long ago. Then if you go back even further than that, we had that year where we had a whole bunch in the beginning of the second round and throughout the second round, the year that Clyde Edwards-Helaire went in the first round, and then we had a whole bunch early second round throughout that round. Can anybody else push their way into that early to mid round 2 mix? Right now, I don't see it. It's a very different class than what we saw last year, but there's some intriguing talents for sure. I'm going to go through, talk about them one by one. I'm going to go through alphabetical, but that's my initial rankings right now. Again, if you're somebody who purchases the new set of notebooks that will come out around Labor Day weekend, you will have these initial rankings. At some point, I'll probably put them up on Twitter, but these are initial. They will change. They will be fluid. Week after week, I will start to adapt and make modifications to these rankings in real time, which is one of the perks of having the new set of notebooks. You could always constantly check to see where my rankings lie, because I will change them throughout the season. Maybe not after week 1, but there could be a couple of things tiers that I might move some guys around in after I see something. But as the season goes on, a couple weeks into the year, you might see some more significant changes. And then obviously as the year continues, I will add new names to this. Once guys start emerging, I will do more scouting reports. I will add them to the rankings notebook. I will add them to the scouting notebook, and you will see where they kind of, fill in with the rest of these running backs that I'm going to be talking about tonight. So let's get right into this. I'm going to start right now with Kaytron Allen. Again, just going alphabetical order. Kaytron Allen out of Penn State, senior running back, 5'11", 216 pounds. Last year he rushed for 1,108 yards, 8 touchdowns, chipped in with 18 catches for 153 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kaytron Allen, good size and frame. I think the athleticism is just average. Same thing with the movement skills, but he's got good footwork, good short area burst and quickness, good to very good contact balance, play strength, physicality, toughness. I like the finishing ability, the leg drive. He breaks tackles and picks up yards after contact. Obviously, some things to his game that I would like to see him improve upon a little bit, be a little bit more functional in the pass game. I'd like to see his receiving skills a little bit better utilized to see what he can bring in that regard. I don't up end long speed, so I don't think he's going to be much of a home run hitter. He doesn't have that explosiveness to his game. I'd like to see maybe a little bit more agility and change of direction. That's just not his game. He's a north-south runner. He's not going to make people miss in that regard. He's going to use his power and play strength. I think the vision and patience are probably functional at this point, and I think he's solid in pass protection as well, which will help him as well. The way I look at him, he's a depth to committee backfield, playing on early downs. I think he's best in an inside gap or zone scheme. I think he's definitely clearly a day 3 running back in terms of his NFL draft projection for next year. So that is Kaytron Allen, obviously in that same backfield with Nicholas Singleton, who I'll be talking about in a little bit. But there's aspects of Kaytron Allen's game I like. If you want that tough, physical, north-south runner who can break tackles, short yardage, early down, I think Kaytron Allen could be a good value somewhere in the 4th, 5th round of the 2026 NFL draft. Next up, CJ Baxter out of Texas. He's the redshirt sophomore. He's 6'1", 230 pounds. Talked about it earlier. He missed the 2024 season due to injury. Back in 2023, he rushed for, and remember, that's when they still had Jonathan Brooks. He had 659 yards rushing, 5 touchdowns, and also had 24 receptions for 156 yards. CJ Baxter has great size and frame, good to very good athleticism, speed, burst, and acceleration, especially at his size and frame. I like the contact balance. He shows good play strength and finishing ability. I think he has good vision, agility, and footwork, shows the ability to one cut, and he's got really good receiving skills, which I don't even think we've seen the full repertoire of what he could offer in the pass game with Arch Manning at the helm this year. I think we're going to see a very productive year from CJ Baxter out of the backfield in terms of receiving, and then he's going to be their best running back as well. Some concerning or developmental areas. He missed all of 2024 due to injury. So how does he bounce back from that? He's never been asked to carry the workload. So how does he do, being the clear focal point of the run game? Can he be as effective getting 15 to 18 touches a week? Those are things that we need to know. How is he in pass protection? We haven't seen that, and I would like him to get a little bit lower. His pad level is a little bit higher, because he is at 6'1". So I think that pad level opens him up a little bit for some, maybe a little bit more vulnerable to some bigger hits. We'd like to see him get that pad level a little bit lower, but it's a little bit of a challenge with a guy at his size. The way I look at him at the next level, I think he's got the upside to be the lead of a committee backfield. I think he's capable of playing on all 3 downs. I think he can be effective in a gap or a zone run scheme. I think he can run inside best, but could also kick things to the outside as a home run hitter. I think right now I have like a round 3, round 4 grade on him. But if he's healthy this whole year and he's as good as I think he's going to be, I think he becomes a clear day 2 running back. So he's one of those things that right now for projecting, we can't assume that he's completely healthy. We can't assume that that's not going to take away some of his big playability. But if he shows that he's clearly over that injury and is the clear focal point of this Texas run game, I think we're looking at more of a day 2 prospect than a round 3, round 4 border guy where I currently have him graded. Next up, Damon Claiborne out of Wake Forest. He's a senior. He's 5'9", 192 pounds. Last year, he had 1,049 yards rushing, 11 touchdowns, chipped in with 23 catches for 254 yards and 2 touchdowns. The size is only average. A little bit of an undersized frame there at the 5'9", 192. But he's got good athleticism, burst speed, and acceleration to be a big play threat. I love the movement skills. To me, very good movement skills, the lateral quickness, footwork, cutting ability, agility, and elusiveness. That is his bread and butter. That movement skills, the ability to make people miss, pick up extra yards. He can do it in close quarters, and he obviously could do it in the open field. I like the vision and patience that he brings as well. Listen, we can't do anything about the size and frame. Obviously, that's a little bit of a concerning thing. He doesn't have great contact balance. He's not that type of runner. He's not going to pick up a lot of yards after contact. I do think the biggest area I want to see him improve is he tries to hit the home run too often. He's got to take what is available based on what the blocking is. Don't turn what could be a 1-yard run to a negative 5-yard run because you're trying to make something out of nothing. That's the one area where I want to see him clean up. He's not going to get much bigger. He's not going to get much stronger. Those aspects are not his game, but he can minimize the negative plays, and I think that's what I'm looking for him to improve upon this year. I think he's going to be a part of a committee backfield at the next level, capable of playing on all 3 downs, but his best in terms of a outside gap or zone run scheme. I don't think you want him right in the middle. I think you want him on the perimeter if you can. He could also be an effective weapon as a kick or punt returner. I have him in that round 3, round 4 border. If he cleans up some of the issues where he tries to do too much, I think a team's going to be intrigued by his big playability. If he shows a little bit more in the pass game this year, and then you're talking about an impact player receiving, running on the perimeter, and in the return game, people are looking for multi-faceted offensive weapons. I think Claiborne could fit that bill and potentially move his way somewhere into the definitive day 2 range instead of maybe that borderline late round 3, early round 4. Next up, Jonah Coleman out of Washington. He's a senior, 5'8", 227 pounds. So night and day compared to who we were just talking about previously. Last year in 2024, he had 1,053 yards rushing, 10 rushing touchdowns, had 23 receptions for 177 yards. To me, Coleman is a depth to committee backfield member, best used on early downs. I think he's an inside gap or zone run scheme. This is not a guy you're going to want to get on the perimeter. Long speed is not his calling card. Acceleration, change of direction, that is not how Coleman wins. But what he does bring to the table is a great frame. The athleticism, I would say, and movement skills, short area burst and quickness are just average, but he's got very good play strength, very good contact balance, power, physicality, leg drive, finishing ability to fight for those extra yards, good footwork, vision, patience, and natural run instincts. That is what Jonah Coleman brings to the table. I think we're going to see another very effective statistical year, but he's not going to be for everybody. He's going to be that guy that, I'm not comparing him to him, but how we saw Kamanungai and Taj Brooks fall to like round 6 and round 7 of the 2025 NFL draft. I kind of think that's probably where Coleman is headed. He's a little bit one-dimensional, but there's going to be a role for him. And if he ends up in a good situation, similar to Brooks or Monangai, you could see Coleman being a guy that gets an opportunity to work his way into a part of the backfield, maybe start out as a depth piece, and maybe work his way into a bigger role as time goes on. Next up, Russell Faison out of South Carolina, senior, 5'11", 217 pounds. Another guy, depth to committee backfield member, early down player, best in an inside gap or zone run scheme. Last year, he rushed for 1,109 yards and 8 touchdowns, 22 receptions, but for only 99 yards, no touchdowns. So very much just a short check down guy. Not going to be a guy playing much on third downs. Obviously, I'd like to see more usage and more effectiveness in the pass game work. I think he's got to get his pad level a little bit lower, runs a little bit upright. He's not going to be a guy who makes you miss, change of direction skills, agility, elusiveness. That's not how he wins. But what he brings to the table is good size and frame, average athleticism, speed, and movement skills for 217, but he's got good short area quickness and bursts. And then his calling card, similar to Coleman, the contact balance, the play strength, the power, the physicality, leg drive, and finishing ability to pick up those tough inside yards, short yardage yards, goal line. I do think he has a little bit better footwork than Coleman with the ability to one cut and jump cut. I think that's the one difference that he offers that. But I do think Coleman's a little bit more of a complete back. But I do like the ability for him to one cut and jump cut. I think he's a day 3 running back right now. Another guy who I would kind of expect to go off the board somewhere late in the 2026 NFL draft, somewhere in either round 6 or round 7. Next up, Justin Haynes, now of Michigan, junior, 5'11", 205 pounds. Last year for Alabama, he in a committee backfield, he had 448 yards rushing, 7 touchdowns, and chipped in with 17 receptions for 99 yards. He's going to get an opportunity to really elevate himself and potentially catapult himself up my rankings during this season. Because I do think Michigan is going to look at him to be the clear guy. Now, they have so many guys in the woodworks, but I think they're going to give him every chance to be the lead guy. And if they get back to being a dominant ground game with a dominant run game, I think Haynes is going to be the beneficiary of that. Average size and frame. I like the athleticism. I would classify it as good athleticism, speed, movement skills, burst, and acceleration. I like the short area quickness. He's got really good footwork, vision, change of direction skills, and agility. He shows the ability to one cut and get upfield quickly, but also has a little bit of a compact frame where he provides good contact balance and play strength to fight for those extra yards and pick up some yards after the contact. Thing I want to see this year from him, a couple areas for him to improve. He's got to get better in pass protection. I need to see a little bit more in terms of the receiving ability from him. And the first couple years in college, his rushing production has been very minimal, but I do think that's been more a part of the opportunity. Can he carry a heavy workload? He's never been asked to do that before. So those are the areas I'm kind of looking at him to improve upon. Right now, in terms of his NFL role and fit, I look at him as a depth to committee backfield on early downs, best in an inside gap or zone run scheme. I have a day 3 grade on him, but I do think it's one of those things where there could be a big arrow up on him as this year kicks off, with him finally, I think, getting a much larger opportunity than we've ever seen him be given earlier. Next up, out of Oregon now, Mekhi Hughes, the junior, 6 feet, 215 pounds. He steps in, taking the job from Jordan James as a transfer. Last year, he had 1,401 yards rushing, 15 rushing touchdowns, 19 receptions, 176 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So we've seen Bucky Irvin be really productive, go in the NFL draft on day 3. We've seen Jordan James, and now Mekhi Hughes transfers there and is going to step in there to be the clear lead back of this backfield with an opportunity to put up big-time production. And I think we're going to see it from him this year. Great size and frame. I think the athleticism, the short area quickness and burst is just average, but I think he's got good to very good play strength, power, contact balance, leg drive, and physicality. I really like the natural run instincts that he possesses. He's got good vision, good footwork, ability to one cut and get upfield quickly. Some areas I'd like to see Hughes improve upon this year to really take the next step. inconsistent in pass pro. He's got to get a little bit better with that. He's got to show more roundedness to his game. So I want to see him improve the receiving production and improve the receiving skills. He's not a big play threat, so I don't think you're going to see much in terms of the long speed. And he's not a guy who's going to make you miss in close quarters. Not a lot in terms of his cutting ability, change of direction, and elusiveness. That's just not his game. He's going to get upfield quickly. He's going to barrel you over. He's going to pick up yards after contact. And that's how he's going to win. But he's going to be set up in a great system this year to really put together a very productive statistical output. We'll see how that translates. I think teams are going to want to see him produce a little bit more in the pass game, clean up some pass protection issues. And if he does that, I think he has a chance to go at the end of day 2. I have a round 3, round 4 grade on him right now. I think he's a committee back, best used on early downs in an inside gap or zone run scheme. We'll see if he can improve upon that and maybe arrow up if he does. Now playing on the best team he's ever played for in college. Keep this rolling. Next up is Quinton Joyner out of Texas Tech. He's a redshirt sophomore. Last year, he was a part of USC's program, transfer portal. Now he's at Texas Tech. He's 5'11", 205 pounds. Last year, he rushed for 478 yards at USC, 7.6 yards per carry. It's a big play waiting to happen. 3 touchdowns in the receiving game. Big playability here, too. 12 catches, 189 yards, and 1 touchdown. To me, he's a committee backfield capable of playing on all 3 downs. Best in a outside zone run scheme. I got an early day 3 grade on him. Average size and frame. Very good athleticism, speed, burst, short area quickness, and acceleration. He's got good vision, footwork, and agility. Good contact balance, play strength, and power to pick up yards after contact. Things I want to see him improve upon this year. Clean up some pass protection issues. Show that he could handle and carry a heavier workload. And then some natural run instincts. I just want to see a little bit more. He just doesn't have a lot of experience. So it's one of those things where I just kind of want to see more from him. And I think he's going to get every opportunity to see a lot more this season as the clear lead back for the team this year for Texas Tech. Early day 3 grade on him. But if he puts up one of those 1,300, 1,400 yards, we'll see if he comes out. Redshirt sophomore, he could easily go back to school, but he's a guy who could definitely push his way up the rankings a little bit as this year goes on and we see him carrying a full workload. Let's take this next to my number 1 running back. I talked about him at the top of the podcast. That is Jeremiah Love out of Notre Dame, the junior, 6 feet tall, 210 pounds. In 2024, he had 1,125 yards rushing, 17 touchdowns, also had 28 receptions for 237 yards and 2 touchdowns. To me, starting running back, functional piece of an offense, capable of playing on all 3 downs. He's effective in any run scheme. You want him run inside, outside. You want him zap, gap, zone, whatever you want. Jeremiah Love can do it. I got a round 1 grade on him right now. Good size and frame, very good athleticism, speed, burst, acceleration, and lateral quickness. Shows the ability to one cut and get upfield. I like the agility he provides. Great vision, patience, and natural run instincts. Those are some of his calling cards. He's got good play strength and contact balance to also pick up yards after contact as well. If I'm nitpicking a little bit inconsistent in pass protection. Most college running backs are either inconsistent or flat out bad. Not a big concern there. And I would like to see maybe while he had receiving production and I like his overall receiving skills, would like to see him most of it with screens or checkdowns. I'd like to see if he can maybe incorporate a little bit more route running to his receiving profile. But we're talking about a guy who already this year, 28 catches, 237 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So he's already got average receiving skills, good receiving production. I think he could even go a little bit further and improve upon that to even become a more complete back. But Jeremiah Love, the only clear-cut round 1, even early round 2 type running back. No one is even close to him in the pecking order. I can't remember a year there was such a big discrepancy. I guess maybe Bijan Robinson before Jahmyr Gibbs kind of moved up there, but a lot of people like Jahmyr Gibbs. It's Jeremiah Love, and it's a massive gap to number 2 on my rankings and most people's rankings. Let's take this next to Jam Miller out of Alabama. He's the senior running back. He's 5'10", 214 pounds. Last year in that timeshare backfield for Alabama, he had 668 yards rushing, 7 touchdowns, 16 catches, 155 yards, and 1 touchdown. I think he's a depth to committee backfield member, capable of playing on all 3 downs in an inside gap or zone run scheme. I think he's a day 3 caliber prospect right now. Some areas I want to see him improve upon. He does struggle to maintain speed, I think, while cutting. Some inconsistency in terms of his vision and patience, and you don't see a lot of change of direction, make you miss type stuff. But what he does bring to the table, average size, good frame. I think he's got good overall athleticism, speed, burst, movement skills, and acceleration. Good footwork with the ability to one cut. He's got good play strength, contact balance, physicality, and leg drive. He could pick up good yards after contact, so I like the overall contact balance as well. Profile, Debris type prospect there in Jam Miller. Next up, Le'Veon Moss out of Texas A&M. He's the senior running back, 5'11", 206 pounds. Last year, 765 yards rushing with 10 touchdowns. Also 10 receptions for 141 yards. To me, he's a committee backfield member or a change of pace back, best in an outside zone run scheme. I got an early day 3 grade on him, but this is the type of back who profiles that teams are going to be really intrigued with because he's a home run threat waiting to happen. He's only got average size and frame, but he's got good to very good athleticism, movement skills, speed, acceleration, explosiveness, lateral quickness, and burst. He's got good footwork to show us the ability to make strong cuts, tie them together, good agility and change of direction skills, and he also possesses good contact balance and play strength. For him to make that jump, I think, though, into a day 2 caliber prospect, things I want to see improve upon, the receiving skills and receiving production. For him to go in the top 100, even with his big playability, I think we got to see more in the pass game. So that's when I'm really going to be honing in on Le'Veon Moss this year. Clean up some pass protection issues. He did miss some time this year with an injury, so make sure he's back from that. Some inconsistency in terms of his vision and patience, and I'd like to see him get his pad level a little bit lower because sometimes he runs a little bit upright and a little high. But Le'Veon Moss is a very intriguing prospect that I could see if he improves his receiving work, we could see him start moving up these rankings because of the big playability that he offers. Next up, the guy I've been talking about for years, and that is Jaden Ott, formerly of California, now of Oklahoma, the senior back, 5'11", 208 pounds. Last year, prior to his injury, he had 385 yards, low yards per carry, only 3.3, 4 touchdowns, did chip in 24 receptions for 222 yards and 1 touchdown. But if you go back a year, as the focal point of the Cal Bear offense, he had 1,305 yards, 12 touchdowns in 2023. So you combine that rushing ability that we've seen from him in 2023, you combine it with the receiving skills that he offers, I still think he's a very intriguing prospect. Right now, I have him as a committee backfield member, capable of playing on all 3 downs. I think he's best in an inside-outside gap run scheme, but can also effectively run in zone. I got an early day 3 grade on him. If he goes back to the 2023 version, I think he's a day 2 prospect. If he's more like last year, then we're probably talking about a guy pummeling to the late day 3 and not the early day 3. So I think it can go one of 2 ways. If we get the 2023 version, new spot, new situation, Oklahoma, I think he's a day 2 prospect, top 100. If we get last year, I think he's probably a late day 3 pick. So right now I'm kind of going in the middle there, putting in an early day 3 grade and kind of adjusting as what we see from him this year in terms of which player he is, the one from 2023 or the one that was struggling early in 2024. Average size and frame, good athleticism, speed, lateral quickness, acceleration, burst, good footwork, change of direction skills, and agility with the ability to one cut and jump cut, great receiving skills, good vision and patience. I'd like to see him clean up some pass protection issues, a little bit of an upright running style, get it down a little bit in terms of his pad level and show a little bit more power. He offers a lot of what Chuba Hubbard did, but I do think there's some more natural elusiveness and change of direction stuff Ott possessed than Hubbard did when Hubbard was in college. And I still think he could be a 3-down weapon because I do think his receiving skills is very impressive. Even in last year's limited amount of games, he still caught 24 catches for 222 yards. I think he can be a clear weapon in the pass game on top of what he can bring to the table as a runner as well. Next up, my number 2 running back, the guy who I thought was going to come out last year, the only other guy who I think could be a top 75 player in this year's class, and that is Nicholas Singleton out of Penn State, the senior running back, 6 feet, 218 pounds. Last year, sharing that backfield with Katron Allen, he had 1,099 yards rushing, 12 touchdowns, also had 41 receptions for 375 yards and 5 touchdowns. To me, he possesses as the lead member of a committee backfield capable of playing on all 3 downs. I think he's best in an inside gap or zone run scheme. I don't want him kicking to the outside too much. Right now I have a round 3 grade on him. I think he could slide into that top 75 like they talk about. great size and frame, great athleticism, speed, acceleration, and burst. He's going to run a blazing 40 time. He's got good footwork with one cut and jump cut ability. He's got good play strength, contact balance, leg drive, very good receiving skills to be a weapon there as well. But he's a very linear type runner. You do not see a lot of change of direction stuff. You do not see a lot of make you miss. He's a one speed runner. You don't see a lot of varying run tempo. I think there's some inconsistent run instincts and some inconsistent vision and patience. That is what hinders Singleton and why he's not a clear round 2 running back. If he shows improvement in the run instincts, the vision, and the patience, I think we're talking about a guy who could push his way into round 2. I don't think he's all of a sudden going to be a guy who changes directions well. That's just not his game. But he's a big-time athlete who's going to run a blazing 40 time. If he can show, and he's a good receiver, that's going to get him intrigued. That's going to make people intrigued in the top 100. How high he can go, I think, is do we see improvement in the run instincts, the vision, and the patience on top of the big-time speed, athleticism, bursts, and receiving skills that he already possesses. That'll make the difference in terms of where I think his stock falls next April. Next up, out of Minnesota, the junior running back, Darius Taylor. He's 6 feet, 215 pounds. Last year, he had 986 yards rushing, 10 rushing touchdowns, and he had 54 receptions for 350 yards and 2 touchdowns. To me, I look at him as a committee backfield member capable of playing on all 3 downs. You could use him as a pass catching running back if you have guys that, you'd rather have him as the runner. So I think he's got some versatility, even if he can't get a lot of use in the ground game. He's already shown he can be an effective receiver. If he can improve his pass protection, I think you're also talking about a guy who could then be a receiving back and the clear 3rd down back to start on top of his rushing capabilities. I think he's best in an inside gap or zone run scheme. I have an early day 3 grade on him right now, but you put up 1,000 yards and then you put up another 350 as a pass catcher with 54 receptions. That is going to get you on the radar. I don't think he's got top end long speed. I think he's got some pass protection issues that for sure he's got to clean up. And similar to Nicholas Singleton, you don't see a lot of change of directions, elusiveness, agility. That's just not his calling card. He's got good size and frame. I think the athleticism, short area quickness, burst, and movement skills are probably just average. But he's got good play strength, really good contact balance, power, physicality, leg drive. He's got good footwork, vision, and patience with really good natural run instincts and the ability to one cut and jump cut and really good receiving skills. So I think there's room for improvement in Darius Taylor. He's already shown a lot of things that you'd like to see. If he can clean up some of those things I talked about, show a little bit more in terms of make you miss, and show a little bit more in terms of his pass protection, I think you have a guy who could solidify his role as an early day 3 pick. Next up, Bryson Washington out of Baylor. He's another redshirt sophomore, 6 feet, 205 pounds. Last year, he had 1,028 yards rushing, 12 touchdowns, 22 receptions for 217 yards and 1 touchdown. I think he's a committee backfield member, best used on early downs in an inside gap or zone run scheme. I have an early day 3 grade on him right now, and I think we can see that move his way up, potentially a late day 2. Good size and frame. I think the athleticism, speed, and movement skills are just average, but I think he's got good footwork, good short area quickness and burst, shows the ability to one cut and get upfield very quickly. I love the vision. To me, very good vision and patience are his calling cards. Add that to good contact balance and play strength, average receiving skills. There's a lot to like with Bryson Washington's game. Still a young player. I think there's a lot of improvement that we could see from him. And if we see that, we're talking about a guy who could push his way from the early day 3 potentially into the late day 2 mix. But I think NFL teams are going to be intrigued by the size, frame, package that he brings, the vision, the patience, the natural run instincts. If we could see a little bit more in terms of athleticism, if we could see a little bit more in terms of pass protection, I think that could clean up some of the issues. We could see him make a little bit of a move to maybe be in the potential mix to be a top 100 guy. Next up, last one of my top 16. Again, we're just going alphabetical order. This is Quintravian Wisner out of Texas, the 6 feet, 195-pound junior. Last year, he rushed for 1,064 yards, 5 touchdowns. He had 44 receptions for 311 yards and 1 touchdown. Committee backfield or change of pace receiving type back, capable of playing on all 3 downs, best in an inside-outside gap run scheme. I have an early day 3 grade on him. Going to be interested to see how he performs this year. Good size, average frame. I think the athleticism and speed is just average, but I think the movement skills are good. The short area burst and short area quickness are good. I like the footwork he possesses, shows that ability to jump cut or one cut and get up the field. He's got good agility at his size. He could force missed tackles. I like the contact balance and play strength, and then really good receiving skills. I think that's going to be what really elevates his stock to be in that early day three mix. I do think there's some things he's got to clean up. If he's going to be a guy who's going to be an effective pass receiver, he's got to clean up the pass protection issues. That's one area. A little bit of inconsistent vision and patience. We need to see him clean that up a little bit. I think he will with another year of seasoning. And if he can improve upon that vision and patience, I think we're going to see a really productive year from him, forming that 1-2 duo with him and CJ Baxter. I think there's more than enough to go around. We saw what Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen could do. I think we could see a very productive year from Wisner and Baxter as well. Early day three grade right now, but I think there's room for him to improve upon that. So there it is, guys. My full detailed scouting reports on my current top 16 running backs. Again, just to kind of break it down, at number 1 is Jeremiah Love out of Notre Dame. My number 2 back right now is Nicholas Singleton out of Penn State. My number 3 is Damon Claiborne out of Wake Forest. My number 4 was Jaden Ott out of Oklahoma. My number 5 was CJ Baxter out of Texas. My number 6 was Mekhi Hughes out of Oregon. Number 7 was Bryson Washington out of Baylor. Number 8 was Le'Veon Moss out of Texas A&M. Number 9 was Jam Miller out of Alabama. Number 10 was Quintravion Wisner out of Texas. Number 11 was Justice Haynes out of Michigan. Number 12 was Darius Taylor out of Minnesota. Number 13 was Quentin Joyner out of Texas Tech. Number 14 was Jonah Coleman out of Washington. Number 15 was Katron Allen out of Penn State. And number 16 was Rushul Faison out of South Carolina. That was just 16 that I really did a deep dive into. There are so many other names that I can kind of run through here that are on my current watch list. These are straight alphabetical order, no rankings here. Davon Booth out of Mississippi State, Mel Brown out of UConn, Logan Diggs out of Ole Miss, C.J. Donaldson Jr. out of Ohio State, Dylan Edwards out of Kansas State, Mark Fletcher Jr. out of Miami, Anthony Hankerson out of Oregon State, Jamal Haynes out of Georgia Tech, Eli Heidenreich out of Navy, Aljay Henderson out of Buffalo, Angel Johnson out of Washington State, Cash Jones out of Georgia, L.J. Martin out of BYU, David Makabu out of Purdue, Jaquez Moore out of Duke, Desmond Reed out of Pittsburgh, Terrion Stewart out of Virginia Tech, Jaheim White out of West Virginia, Noah Whittington out of Oregon, and Roydell Williams out of Florida State. That is another 20 names or so almost that are on my watch list. So I gave you 16 detailed scouting reports on my top current 16 running backs, another 20 or so names that are on my watch list. So that's 38 names or so that you should really be keeping a close eye on as this college football season. I am sure there's a whole bunch from my watch list that are going to be moved into my regular rankings once I start doing more film analysis based on how the early portion of the season goes. That's why we do these as a Google document. They are a live breathing document. One of these guys might go off first week of college football season, maybe even week 0. And then I put them in the scouting notebook. I put them in my rankings. Things fluidly move. So if you get the notebooks when they come out, there's something to constantly be looking at, seeing who I've added, checking in, having them open on college football Saturdays to see if I have them in the notebook yet or in my rankings yet, or it is still on my watch list. I'll add names to the watch list. I'll add names to the rankings throughout the college football season. And then obviously tons of updates in the pre-draft months as well. But all throughout the year, you will see constant updates to the rankings and to the scouting notebook. This is just part 1 of our summer scouting series. Next up, I'll be talking tight ends. And then we will round it out with the wide receivers and the quarterbacks. Again, right now you cannot purchase the new wave of notebooks. They will probably be out around Labor Day weekend. Obviously, I'll do an episode saying that the new notebooks are out. If you want the old notebooks, the best way to get them, Saturday is S2S Football.com. Fastest and easiest way to get there. Check out the premium content tab. You can read all about what you offer. You get the rankings notebook. Still has all my Dynasty rookie rankings updated, my positional Dynasty rankings updated, my IDP rookie rankings are in there, my Devy rankings are in there. You get the scouting notebook from last year, and then you get the draft projections notebook, but that's all the 2025 stuff. So unless you're really looking to, utilize it as something for like the preseason, and my thoughts on the rookie class at this point now, it's kind of best to kind of hold off and purchase the new notebooks once they come out in a couple of weeks around Labor Day, and you can get all my thoughts. The earlier you buy it, the more you're getting out of it, which is why I always say when it becomes available, why wait until next draft cycle? Why wait until Senior Bowl or the NFL Combine? You could have access to all my stuff from Labor Day weekend, from week 0 or week 1. Sometimes it comes out after week 0. From Labor Day weekend basically on, you can have access to all my stuff and utilize it the entire college football year. It's one price. You get everything. It's $9.99. We'll talk about that when the new wave of notebooks hit. So there it is, guys, my initial 2026 NFL draft running back rankings and scouting reports. Next up, like I said, is the tight ends. So on behalf of my sound tech engineer, David Nakano, and myself, thank you for joining us, and we look forward next time taking you from Saturday to Sunday.